Christian Bardsley has done a terrific amount of work coaching at local level. We look towards North Melbourne. The injury list looking more pleasing. Clark, King and Wood, all tests, and King and Wood hopefully play. Clark, you'd imagine, would have to play twos. Paddy Dow hopefully comes in. Liam Henry, 1 week. That's encouraging. Does he come back through the VFL or does he come straight back in? Brad Crouch listed as 2 to 3 weeks. Now, I've spoken to a few people around about Brad Crouch, and the concern is that his knee, it's not that he won't come back in 2 to 3 weeks, it's that the knee issue is degenerative rather than he's copped a knock, he's out, he'll come back. You just get the feeling that with Brad Crouch, not the beginning of the end, but it's an injury that conceivably will be with him for a while and will eventually end his career. But that's not to say that'll be tomorrow. But yeah, it's probably going to be a lingering knee issue for Crouch that might rear its head every now and then. So hopefully that'll won't restrict him too much. The North Melbourne fixture, Nick, we've been in this position in the last probably 3 years where we've played North when we haven't been in great form. We've needed to win a game. We've beaten them, but it's been immensely frustrating and ugly. And look, I'll take that again at the moment. I'd take a painful 14-point win. No worries if that was offered to me. But it would be nice to get a kill in a game like this. We're very vulnerable with the injuries that we've got, so I don't think it's a realistic expectation to just go out there and smash someone. But it'd be nice to win and actually feel okay about winning a game.
Oh, spot on. I think that's exactly right. It would be nice to go in expecting a stress-free, pain-free outing against a team that's struggling. Unfortunately, we're a team that's struggling at the moment too. And while I think us at our best against them at their best, I think we're probably a 6 to 8 to 10 goal better side, but we're not at our best. And so the main thing for us is we just need to get the 4 points. And like you said, if someone said to me tonight, it's going to be a slog, it's going to be hard to watch, it's going to be ugly footy, but you're going to win by a point, I'd probably take it.
Yeah, you're going to beat them like you beat Richmond. That. Yeah, no worries.
Yep. And like you said, those couple of games against North over the last 3 years, 4 years even, have been so hard to watch, so frustrating. But you take the points ultimately, and I would do that in a heartbeat at the moment, just to kind of stop the rot a little bit in terms of our losing trend. Ultimately, it doesn't matter how you get the points as long as you get the points. And I don't envisage this being an easy game at all. While it theoretically should be, I don't think it will be. I can't see it being that. And I'm not looking forward to it at all. Like you said, we are extremely vulnerable at the moment, and I'm really not looking forward to it.
Especially if King doesn't get up. And I mean, if you look at our fixture, our season is not over by any stretch.
The run home is pretty good from here on.
But it probably is if we lose this game. So that's the harsh reality of it. So I agree with you, Nick. We just literally have to just close that, the little leak that's going on at the moment. Just close it. Whatever you have to do, you just literally have to stop the trend, turn it back the other way, and start the process again. So however that happens.
The biggest concern is, we talked about Dougal earlier. He comes up against a player named Nick Larkey, who could kick 10 on them. Who could kick 10 on us on Saturday. He's one of the better forwards in the league.
Yes,
he's a fantastic forward, and he's sitting there in a team at 0-7, and just go. He's going to kick a bag 1 week. They're going to beat a team because he's going to come out and absolutely destroy a fullback.
Well, he kicked 9 against the Gold Coast, didn't he, last year? I think.
Yeah. And you just go, you get to 0-4, 0-5, and you're going, they're 2 weeks away from us. And you go, he's kicked a couple of goals here and there this year, and he's due. You're going to please don't let it be this week.
Of that, you're spot on. You're spot on. And I'm super worried about Nick Larkey. The flip side is that they should be extremely worried about Max King if he plays.
Yeah, their defence is
Their
putrid.
defence is awful.
Yeah.
It is awful. And Max is also due for a big game. I know he's missed a couple, and obviously, he might be a little bit rusty or whatever. But this is one of those games where you just tell him to go run around, get some miles in the legs, take some marks, and kick some goals. Just go and play footy and do what you do. And hopefully, this is the one where, he can just outmatch, outmuscle, outrun whoever's there. And it would make such a big difference to our performance, or our potential performance, I should say, to get him locked in and confirmed when the teams are announced.
Yeah.
I actually think North look worse. They're not necessarily worse in the sense that they're probably progressing further down the road, but they look worse now than they did, say, 12 months ago when we played them. They look a bit looser. They look less consistent. They're getting scored on very heavily, whereas I thought last year they were losing most weeks, but they would lose by 4 goals in games where they were patchy. Now it looks like they're, a fair way off the pace. So, that might come back to bite us, but I think they're not going as well as they. It sounds funny because I'm probably 1-10 or something when we played them last year, but they don't look like they're going as well as that. So, look, they don't have as many injuries as us, but at the same time, they lost, Ben Mackay in the off-season and various others that leaves them looking pretty fragile. They've got young midfielders, but not big bodies, apart from Lote Wardlaw, who's a pretty good player. I think Simpkin's under a bit of a cloud. Now, look, if Simpkin didn't play, we've got to remember the other elephant in the room is Webster's due back this week. So, look, if Simpkin doesn't play, then it would take a little bit of the sting out of that narrative. But, well, it'd be interesting. Like, I was talking to a Saints fan during the week. Do they hold Webster back only to avoid that circus, or do you pick him because he's probably in your best 22 and you just have to?
Can you pick him, though, realistically, without having played?
I think he played that mini scratch match the other week, and because he hasn't been injured, he's probably been able to stay fit enough. But so I think they could pick him. But I'm tempted not to, A, for the fitness, but B, I don't want that circus, to be honest.
Is there also a particular player that you go, oh, we need him to come in to take?
Maybe Zerha, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He'd probably be the one. But I think we've got...
Or Paul Curtis is the other bloke.
Could probably take him. It's not like
Wilkie
we haven't
could play on the other one, Yeah,
it's not like we haven't got players that can't take it. It's probably not... There's not like a Cameron playing for him. There's that... We would go, look, if we're playing Brisbane this week, we'd go, look, we want Webster in the bar and Cameron.
Probably,
Yeah, it's not really a particular player you go, we need him in to negate that player. So, if he goes and has a week in the VFL, great. Then, come back next week and see how he goes.
Ben Patton's an option as well. He played the mini scratch match and played for Sandy last week, so he does.
He's ready,
So he's just about there. I mean, I didn't notice him a lot last week watching the highlights for Sandy. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but he's played those 2 games, whereas Webster, like you said, played 40 minutes in that scratch match, or 25 minutes, whatever it was in that game. Whether or not he's got the tank naturally to come back in and straight away roll with the seniors, don't know.
The other one's Mason Wood, who, I mean, it looks likely. The fact that the club keeps mentioning him in articles makes me think they'll pick him. He only started, he was running, but he only started contact training, I think, last week. He actually played that mini scratch match, interestingly, in the middle of all of that. I think he could probably play, he's pretty fit, 5 weeks out, 6 weeks out. I think he could probably come straight back in if he's okay, and we need him. I think I read the stat. Someone mentioned it since he came to the club. I think we're 32-20 when he's played, and 5-17 or something when he doesn't. You'd be thinking Wood, Dow, King, Collard for Higgins. Maybe Hasty misses as a result of that. Sharman maybe, and
or Caminiti.
Howard probably. If they're confident that Battle and Cordy can get lucky.
And then there's also before maybe Marshall may be missing too. So Caminiti, whether or not he's the answer to what we're going to be on the ruck this week, or
what about Jack Hayes?
Campbell may come in.
That's
Hayes
the other one.
is possible. It's just the mix is a question of what we're going to be doing with it, because if we go with Hayes, you don't think we'd probably be playing him as a one out. You'd probably need to maybe possibly keep Caminiti in as well, sort of thing.
What was the issue there, by the way, for both? Nick, I saw yourself and Tim Rosen, who listens to you, both mention the same thing, that there was a whisper around about Hayes at training. The club hasn't said that But Tim Rosen also pointing out that when they were talking about players in the mix, they didn't mention him, which for conspiracy theorists would add a little bit of fuel to that. But what was the whisper? Did that come from anything credible?
Just someone who has club connections. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but yeah, during the morning, got a message in one of the chat groups and said, just got word from someone down there that Hayes has gone down, or just got word that Hayes has gone down during training, and that was about it. And then we heard nothing else. So
hopefully, it just means he's gone down to the room just to go to the toilet or something.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Or Lenny pinged a calf running under the ground or something, maybe.
It wouldn't surprise me if something did happen. The club is very good at not sharing that type of information.
Yeah, they'll drop it at 7 o'clock tomorrow night or something.
That's right, exactly. And it'll be Jack Hayes to miss 8 weeks with a bone bruise or something. But it wouldn't surprise me. But I was positively surprised that there was no mention, and fingers crossed everything's fine with him, because I think he's another one that's an impact player that we could really, really use at the moment.
Yeah, you'd think a track watcher of some journalists might have caught wind of it, but so hopefully that means that it hasn't. I mean, we're journalists as well, but hopefully the fact that it hasn't means that it's probably okay. A couple of listener questions, and by the way, we've still got the player-by-player assessment up on Facebook if you want to jump on that. That's where that Mason Wood stat was dropped. I think it was Andrew Lewis, I think. Apologies if I've credited the wrong person with that stat. A few questions. Bot says, realistic expectations for the season. Could it be a blessing in disguise that we need high-end draft picks and games into kids? If it goes that way, maybe. But look, I don't think it's over by any stretch. I think the narrative's a bit premature. So my expectations on the season is to just keep fighting till the last breath again, I guess. And, get your 13 wins and play finals if you can. But yeah, I'm not one for tanking or anything if that becomes impossible. Marshall Mateus, fascinating question, H, about what our best forward line looks like if every single player on our list is available.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You sort of go, well, if they're all fit and firing, and I mean, King's obviously first in there.
Mm-hmm.
Higgins is in there as he's been our highest goal kicker. You put,
is Butler still in it?
Yeah, that's right. I don't think I can squeeze Butler in. He's probably on the outside.
You probably got Henry's in there.
Mateus in there. You got Henry in there.
Jack Owens, the second tall.
Does Owens play forward?
I'm wondering if he plays forward or not, or just as a mid/forward, as just a swapping role with bench players and that sort of thing. I wouldn't put him as permanent. Membry obviously would be
probably still there.
He would go in.
He's not a lock like he used to be, though.
No, that's the other thing too. I mean, and I don't know. Is there a name that you just throw in there? Look, that's probably something a little bit different, or something that probably works a bit better than just your standard, I guess, regular play you'd expect to see there, sort of thing. That's with a full list. It's actually hard to do, but it's been hard to do with who we've been missing at the same time. Going, what's the mix to try to take into this game to try to actually be competitive? So
the two for mine, I think, are Liam Henry and Jack Hayes. I think is the two X factors. I think Jack Hayes is, I think, a better forward than Caminiti. I think he's a better mark. Not sure if he's a better kick, but probably
and can play that,
and he can play that second
role
ruck.
For relief ruck role, and
sit him in the goal square. Max King pushes further up the ground, and then for 5 minutes a quarter, you chuck Hayes around the ground to give Marshall a rest.
And King up in like sort of centre half forward, moving out to wings, and sort of thing. It's something I've been saying a fair bit.
You've talked about it for years.
I don't want him in the goal square. It just doesn't work. He gets manhandled before the ball gets there, and never gets a free kick for it. That's one thing that frustrates me most. That we continue with that whole thing of him just being held back so much, and by the time the ball gets down there, he's got 3 on him, and he's got no chance. When he's out running, he's got speed and the height to beat his opponent to the ball and to jump above them. So I just feel like he plays better football when he's a little bit further up the ground and a little bit more free. He doesn't have 3 players sitting on top of him that whole time and just blocking his run and blocking any opportunity he has of getting to it. And where I just feel like he struggles down there a little bit. He just doesn't have that, I guess, goal square influence that, like, say, a Garrick had years ago. Like, put him in the goal square, no one's coming near him. King, they'll just sit in front of him and block his run and that sort of thing. It's doesn't have that, I guess, get out of my way sort of attitude yet, and that's what we want from him, but it's just not there.
Well, questions, you can always jump on our socials and contribute those throughout the week at Unpluggered on X or Twitter, Unpluggered Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, also on TikTok, LinkedIn. You can find us as well if you want to connect and have a chat to us about partnerships or whatever it may be, and of course YouTube at Unpluggered for all of our video content. And just as a final thought, these games are always painful because you're supposed to win them, so if you win them, everyone's just like, whatever. But if you lose it, your house sort of falls down. It's one of those awful sort of moments where you kind of want to, it's nothing to gain, everything to lose, but there's still plenty to gain in that you right the ship and maybe start to turn the wheel back your way. So that's the opportunity. That's the way it has to be seen. And if the world's up against us, you might as well, stand up and fight and show that you're not going anywhere. And hopefully we're still standing come Saturday night / Sunday morning. A big thank you to Christian Bardsley for joining us and for all of you for contributing as well. And we look forward to hopefully reconvening at 3 and 5.